Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning I'm going to go through the overview of insurance and legacy. So let's jump right into it. So as we're in the fourth quarter of this year, meaning that the year is winding to a close, it's so important to evaluate where you're actually at. Where are you in relation to the goals that you set out to accomplish this year? Now, the question is, have you set New Year's resolutions and come up short? And maybe you were overly ambitious with what could be accomplished in a year while not being ambitious enough in what can be accomplished in maybe 3, 5, or 10 years accordingly. Now, of course, that's looking out into the future and projecting forward what you've accomplished thus far into the years to come. And that may be hard to look out in the future and actually figure out what you would be accomplishing based on this year, based on the things you've accomplished this far. Now, we go into each year setting goals for fitness, maybe money, or even relationships. And we start out strong only to let the flame die out in the first quarter, which means that we do the same thing every year, expecting different results. So we go into each year setting goals for maybe fitness, maybe money, or relationships. And we start out strong to let those goals die out. Now, you may be thinking about what goals you set out to accomplish this year, and maybe you're realizing how little you've accomplished, causing a sense of overwhelm, thinking about how much you need to accomplish in the next 2 months in order to be prepared for the next year. And as you think through all that needs to be accomplished, have you ever thought about the fact that every decision you have made throughout your life has led you up to this very point in time, this very moment with what you have and where you're at in life? And have you ever thought about where you're actually at in life and the decisions you've made that have led up to this point? Now, even more so, every decision that you make at this point going forward accumulates, leading into a legacy that you are building for your life, for your spouse, for your children, and for those that depend upon you. Now, your legacy can be a difficult thing to identify. Maybe it's a difficult thing to define or even align your goals in order to make sure your decisions are aligning with the legacy that you desire. So part of leaving a legacy is properly setting up those that you leave behind. Now, this may feel a little bit morbid and maybe a morbid thought, but there are two things in life that are certain, and one is taxes and the other is death. So you have the power while you are alive to be intentional about the legacy that you leave behind. So why not use this theme as a time and an opportunity in order for you to organize your affairs and to ensure that your loved ones don't deal with a disheveled mess of an estate that you leave behind when you pass. So in this theme, we will cover the importance of the right insurance to protect your loved ones, formulating a will, looking at a living trust and a legacy box in order to store all those important, pertinent documents and have a place of storage that would make sure that you are protecting what you've built thus far, as well as having the proper savings in place for burial, for your service, so on and so forth. Again, I know that this sounds morbid, but oftentimes we just need to spend a little bit of time making sure that our affairs are actually in order. Now, again, I know that this may seem a little bit morbid, and it's something that's not very exciting, and in fact may feel a bit repulsive, but that doesn't mean that you don't need to spend time here, that it's not important. So taking this time will help you get things in order and give you some accountability to ensure that you have some peace of mind going into the holiday season and the new year, knowing that you've done what you needed to do to make sure that your legacy is intact. So what is it that you need to get in order? Let's start with a short list going into this theme that will help you to be able to locate the documents you need to locate and organize them accordingly. So the first aspect is taxes. As I mentioned, taxes are inevitable and no one legally escapes paying them. So why not figure out a system to organize your taxes to ensure that you're not paying more than what is owed or what is due. So this is accomplished by storing aspects like receipts, maybe W-2s, 1099s, bank and mortgage statements, as well as investment account interest statements, to just name a few. Now this will ease the process of completing your taxes or having your taxes outsourced so that they have the information they need in order to do them properly. Now, the second aspect is critical documentation. Now, this is titles, this is deeds, this is birth certificates, this is social security cards, this is identification cards by state organizations, this is checks, things like that. In order to have documents that are ready to be safely stored in some safety deposit box or in some safe location otherwise. Now, the third component is assets and liabilities. Now, listing of your bank accounts, your crypto accounts, your properties, your vehicles, or collections or collectibles otherwise, along with any amounts that you actually owe to other people or organizations in this process will help you to ensure that you locate and write down these accounts to make sure that they're completed properly, that those aspects that you owe are actually paid off, and that your assets are actually outlined for your loved ones accordingly. Now, there are many different aspects to your legacy, whether it be the strength of your faith and your relationships, how you gave back, what you gained and expertise in, how you contributed to society, as well as your monetary legacy that you leave behind. So although we're going to be focusing on what's seemingly material and your material belongings and how to organize that, there's so much more to your legacy than that. So it's important that you are actually looking at something that's a somber theme like this and making sure that you are getting your house in order so that you are not adding to the impact of the loss that your loved ones feel when you're no longer here. My call to action today is to look at these 3 areas and assign a number from 1 to 10 in regards to your preparedness in each of those categories. Now, although each of those categories are not created equally, it's important for you to look at the lowest number and begin compiling and organizing your affairs based on those 3 aspects of taxes, critical documentation, as well as your assets and liabilities. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.